You know that feeling, right?
Yeah.
Sit down, ready to focus, maybe on something really important you want to manifest.
Yeah.
A big project maybe, or learning something for that dream job. You set your intention, you're all focused. And then, I don't know, 5 minutes later, you're just scrolling or checking notifications. Anything but the thing you meant to do.
Oh, absolutely. It's incredibly common that sense your attention is just pulled away, even when you know exactly what you want to be doing, what you need to do for your goals.
Yeah, it feels so frustrating. Like, why can't I just focus? Is it just me?
Well, for a long time, we kind of thought it was about willpower, you know?
Right.
Or maybe not wanting it enough. But what if that struggle, that intense feeling, isn't actually a personal failing?
Okay.
What if it's something deeper, like a conflict happening inside your brain? A clash between your wiring and, well, the world we live in now.
That's it. That feels right. That's the paradox we really want to dig into in this discussion. Our amazing brain, designed for survival in a totally different time, is now just struggling, drowning almost in this, like, tsunami of information and distractions and instant gratification.
It really is like trying to run, I don't know, the latest software on a computer from 30 years ago. It just wasn't built for this environment.
So there's this constant battle, this sort of silent war for your attention happening all the time.
And your brain has these deep-seated habits, this wiring that craves novelty, immediate rewards. And honestly, the modern world is almost perfectly designed to exploit that.
Okay, so that's our mission here in this video, to really understand why. Why does your brain seem to just crave distraction sometimes?
Yeah, exploring the science behind it, that internal conflict.
And then crucially, reveal some practical, science-backed ways, actual hacks to reclaim your focus, to direct your energy where you want it to go, to actually hack your brain so it works for your manifestations, not against them.
Exactly. It's about getting that why so the how makes sense, you know, moving from feeling scattered and out of control to feeling clear, feeling like you have agency. Because you absolutely can get your focus back and point your energy towards what truly matters to you.
Definitely. And that frustration you mentioned, that lack of control, that's the core problem we're tackling. You have this vision, this goal, maybe something you really want to manifest. You know, the focused action you need to take, but something just keeps yanking you off track.
And it feels like a failure of discipline, right, or commitment. But honestly, based on what we know about the brain, this struggle is almost predictable. It's our deep wiring just colliding head on with this modern environment we've created.
Okay, so let's break that down. The first piece is understanding this ancient operating system in our heads, how our brains are fundamentally wired.
Right, the evolutionary mismatch. Think way back, our ancestors, tens of thousands of years ago, being easily distracted wasn't a bad thing, it was survival.
How so?
Well, if you were totally zoned in on, say, digging for roots and you didn't notice that little rustle in the grass nearby, is right, that could be a predator. So being distractible, scanning the environment constantly, that was an advantage. Evolution favored minds that were alert, always looking for threats or, you know, new opportunities like food or resources. Deep focus on one boring thing wasn't really the priority back then.
So attention evolved more for quickly switching to what's critical right now, not for ignoring distractions to finish a long report.
Precisely. It made us great at learning about a dynamic world, always seeking out what's new.
Okay. And there's a chemical involved in this, seeking, right? Dopamine.
Ah, yes, dopamine. Often called the pleasure chemical, but that's a bit too simple. It's really more the motivation or the seeking chemical. It's what drives us to explore, to investigate things that might be rewarding.
So it's not just about feeling good after you get something.
Not primarily, no. The really interesting part is the brain's reward system releases dopamine mainly in anticipation of a reward. Just the possibility of something good is enough to get that dopamine flowing and make you want to pursue it.
Wow, okay. That anticipation thing, that explains why putting off a hard task for something easy feels kind of good in the moment. You anticipate the relief.
Exactly. It's that quick, deceptive hit of dopamine. And tied into this is something called temporal discounting.
Temporal discounting.
Yeah, your brain is basically wired to value immediate rewards much more highly than future ones. That big satisfaction of finishing your project next month, the one that's key for your manifestation, neurologically, it feels weaker, less real than the quick hit of watching a funny video right now.
So future rewards just don't have the same pull for that ancient part of the brain.
Not nearly as much. Which leads us straight into the modern world problem. We evolved when information was scarce. Finding something new could be vital. So our brains reward seeking it out.
But now,
But now we live in information hyperabundance. Every ping, every notification, every headline, every new post, it's all designed to trigger that ancient seeking mechanism. It hijacks our attention system for totally trivial, fleeting rewards.
so this massive mismatch, ancient brain, modern digital world, is like the root cause of feeling so distracted all the time.
It's arguably the foundational cause, yes. It's not that you lack willpower. It's that your brain's operating system is getting absolutely overwhelmed, pulling your energy everywhere except where you consciously intend it to go.
So it's not just the outside world bombarding us. There's actually like a civil war inside our heads.
That's a great way to put it. A constant neurological civil war. A push and pull between two very different brain systems.
Okay, what are they?
Well, first you've got the limbic system. You called it the impulsive toddler earlier, and that's pretty accurate.
Okay.
It's the ancient emotional core. It seeks immediate pleasure and strongly avoids discomfort or anything that feels like pain, difficult tasks, boring tasks. The limbic system often flags those as like a threat, something to escape from.
Triggering that urge to just do something else, anything else.
Exactly. And then countering that, you have the prefrontal cortex, or PFC, the rational CEO.
Growing up in the room.
Right, located at the very front of your brain. It's the newest part, evolutionarily speaking. It handles the executive functions. Long-term planning, complex decisions, impulse control, keeping goals in mind. It's the part of you that understands why focusing now leads to that future manifestation you want.
So when we get distracted, it's basically the toddler having a tantrum and winning, overriding the CEO.
Overwhelmingly, yes. Scrolling social media, for instance, gives that limbic toddler an instant, easy dopamine hit. This reinforces the habit of seeking immediate relief and avoiding the discomfort of, say, focused effort.
And this avoidance thing is wired really deep, isn't it?
Incredibly deep. There are studies showing that even like a random cues, maybe seeing a red shape that was once linked to a reward in an experiment, can still grab your attention and trigger dopamine, even if you consciously know there's no reward coming anymore.
Whoa, so your brain just automatically gets pulled by these old associations.
Yep, even if they don't serve your current goals at all.
And this internal battle, it's not happening on neutral ground. The external environment, especially online, is kind of designed to help the toddler win, right?
Oh, without a doubt. It's actively engineered to exploit that ancient wiring. Think about algorithmic amplification.
You mean like recommendation feeds?
Exactly. It used to be you saw stuff from people you followed. Now, platforms like TikTok with its For You page or even Facebook's feed use incredibly sophisticated algorithms. Their main goal isn't necessarily your well-being or even connecting you. It's maximizing your engagement, keeping your eyeballs glued.
Capturing our attention.
Because your attention is the product being sold. And these algorithms get scarily good at learning precisely what triggers your specific seeking mechanism, what's novel to you, what's emotionally charged, maybe even a bit shocking.
And they just keep feeding it to you. An endless stream.
And an infinite scroll of micro-distractions. And they often use the most powerful habit-forming technique there is, intermittent variable rewards.
Like a slot machine.
Exactly like a slot machine. You don't know when the next little win is coming, the next funny video, the surprising notification, the like. So you keep checking, keep pulling the lever. It can create genuine dependency and actually mess with the prefrontal cortex, the very part you need for focus.
It really does feel like the limbic system has this whole army of engineers backing it up sometimes. And things like filter bubbles, they're part of it too.
Often, yes. They aren't just accidental. By narrowing what you see, reinforcing biases, they keep you engaged within their ecosystem. It all serves to capture and hold attention.
So just relying on willpower against all that, it's not really a fair fight.
It's like bringing a knife to a gunfight, truly. Winning this battle for your attention, for directing your energy effectively, requires strategy. It requires working with your brain and actively redesigning your environment.
Okay, and the cost of not doing that, this constant interruption, it's more than just annoying, isn't it? It actually harms our ability to think. Let's talk about multitasking.
The great myth of multitasking. We think we're being efficient, but it's an illusion. Your brain doesn't do multiple complex things at once. It task switches, rapidly jumping back and forth.
And that switching isn't free, right? There's a cost.
A significant one. It's called the cognitive switching penalty. Every time you shift focus, your brain has to mentally unload the context of task A, the rules, the goals, and then load up the whole context for task B.
That sounds exhausting.
It is incredibly taxing. It's why you can feel so busy all day, bouncing between emails, messages, little tasks, but then look back and feel like you got nothing important done. Studies suggest it can slash your productivity, your cognitive efficiency by up to 40%.
40%?
Yep. And research out of Stanford even found that people who consider themselves heavy multitaskers were actually worse at filtering out irrelevant stuff and less efficient at switching tasks than people who focused more sequentially.
Wow. Okay. And then there's this attention residue thing.
Right. Even after you switch back to your main task after an interruption, part of your mental bandwidth, your cognitive resources, kind of stays stuck on whatever you switched from.
Like a mental echo.
Exactly. A ghost in your working memory. So you're operating on the important task with less mental power available. There's a well-known UC Irvine study suggesting it takes, on average, about 23 minutes and 15 seconds to get back to full, deep concentration after just one interruption.
23 minutes.
Yeah.
From one quick check of your phone. That's insane.
Think about how many times that happens in an hour for most people.
Yeah, wow. And does the Zeigarnik effect play into this, that thing about remembering unfinished tasks?
It absolutely contributes. We tend to remember incomplete tasks better, creating these little open loops in our minds. They nag at us, constantly trying to pull our attention back, adding to that feeling of mental clutter and residue.
Like little energy leaks draining your focus.
Precisely. And all this fragmentation ties directly into cognitive load theory. Our working memory, the mental scratch pad where we actively process information, is super limited. We can only juggle maybe 3 to 7 chunks of information at once.
Okay.
And deep work, learning, problem solving, the stuff needed to manifest big goals, requires using that limited space effectively to build connections, form schemas, and transfer info to long-term memory.
And there are different types of load on that memory.
Right. There's intrinsic load, just how complex the thing itself is. Then there's germane load, that's the good stuff, the effortful thinking, where you're actually learning, connecting ideas, building understanding. That's where growth happens.
Okay, germane load is good. What's bad?
Extraneous load. This is wasted mental effort. It comes from things that aren't essential to the task itself, like confusing instructions, a cluttered interface, or distractions. Notifications, task switching, attention residue. That's all pure extraneous load.
And it just swamps your working memory.
Exactly. If your limited working memory is flooded with extraneous junk from constant interruptions, there's simply no capacity left for the germane load, no room for the deep thinking, the creative problem solving, the actual learning required to make progress.
Which makes the main task feel even harder.
Precisely. It creates a vicious cycle. Interruption, task switch, cognitive penalty, attention residue, increased extraneous load, task feels harder. Limbic system wants to escape, seek another distraction. It's a downward spiral into fragmented energy. And trying to manifest something significant with scattered, diluted energy, it's incredibly difficult.
Okay, wow. So the problem is real, it's biological, and the modern world is basically pouring gasoline on the fire. It feels kind of bleak. But you mentioned strategies. A toolkit. How do we fight back? How do we get back in control?
Absolutely. This is where the focus toolkit comes in. These aren't just random tips. They're strategies grounded in understanding how your brain works, designed to help you work with it, not constantly fight against it. And it really starts with some foundational mindset shifts.
Okay, like what?
Like embracing digital minimalism. This idea, popularized by Cal Newport, isn't about ditching all tech. It's about being fiercely intentional.
So choosing technology consciously.
Exactly. Focusing your limited time and attention online only on things that genuinely, significantly support your core values and goals, the things you really want to manifest. And being okay with missing out on the rest, the stuff that just drains energy.
How do you actually do that, though? It sounds hard.
The core hack here is the digital declutter. It's pretty structured. You take a 30-day break from all optional technologies, things you don't strictly need for work or logistics.
30 days? Wow.
It sounds like a lot, but it gives you space to reset, to rediscover what actually matters offline. Then afterwards, you reintroduce tech very selectively. Ask tough questions. Does this specific app or platform truly support something I deeply value? Is it the best way to support that value? And critically, what are my rules, my operating procedures for using it to minimize harm?
That sounds powerful. It creates friction, makes distractions have to work harder to get back into your life. You know, if this discussion is clicking for you, helping you see why focus is tough, but also how you can fix it, maybe take a second and hit that like button. It really helps more people find this kind of helpful content.
Yeah, definitely do that. Another foundational practice is mindfulness meditation. We hear about it for stress, which it's great for, but it's also incredibly powerful for training your attention muscle.
Like mental push-ups for focus.
Pretty much. The key hack is focused attention meditation. It's simple. You pick an anchor, often the sensation of your breath. You gently rest your focus there. Now, your mind will wander. That's what minds do.
Yeah, mind wanders constantly.
Totally normal. The practice isn't about stopping the wandering. It's about noticing, without judgment, my mind drifted, and then gently, firmly guiding your attention back to the breath. Over and over.
And that actually changes the brain.
It does. The neuroscience is solid here. Every time you notice the drift and consciously redirect your attention, you're strengthening the neural pathways in your prefrontal cortex, your rational CEO. You're building the brain circuits for sustained focus and impulse control. Studies show that even like 10, 13 minutes a day can make a measurable difference in attention and working memory within about 8 weeks. If you're serious about directing your energy, this is fundamental.
Okay, so mindset shifts like minimalism and mindfulness are foundational. What about structuring our actual work and environment?
Yes, structural and environmental hacks are crucial. One classic is the Pomodoro technique.
The tomato timer thing.
Yeah. Basically, you work and focus 25-minute bursts, then take a short 5-minute break. Repeat that maybe 4 times, then take a longer break.
It sounds simple, but does it work?
It's surprisingly effective, and the science explains why. First, it breaks down big tasks, making them less daunting, fighting procrastination. Just focus for 25 minutes, right? Second, the timer creates a gentle urgency, which can actually boost focus via norepinephrine. Third, it aligns well with natural brain rhythms. And crucially, finishing each Pomodoro gives you a small, built-in dopamine reward for completion, reinforcing the focus habit.
So you're rewarding focus instead of distraction. I like that.
Exactly. Building on that is the idea of deep work and time blocking. This is where you schedule specific, non-negotiable blocks in your calendar just for focused, distraction-free work on your most important goals.
Treating focus time like a critical meeting.
Precisely. It removes the decision fatigue of when will I tackle this hard thing and actively guards your most precious resource, focused time and energy.
And then designing the environment itself, making it harder to get distracted.
Yes. Simple principle. Increase friction for distractions. Decrease friction for focus. Digitally. Turn off notifications, all the non-essential ones. Use website blockers during work blocks. Put your phone somewhere else entirely, physically. Clear your desk. Clutter adds tiny bits of visual extraneous load, subtly pulling focus. A clear space helps foster a clear mind.
Makes sense.
Yeah.
What about psychological hacks? Like for when you just don't feel like focusing?
Great question. Gamify your grind. This is about applying game mechanics to your tasks.
Making work into a game.
Sort of. It cleverly co-ops that dopamine system we talked about. Instead of seeking dopamine from distractions, you structure your work so you get those satisfying hits from making progress on your goals.
How do you actually gamify something like writing a report?
You can create a quest log instead of a to-do list. Assign points to tasks based on difficulty. Track your points visually, maybe a progress bar or just tally marks. Set rewards for hitting milestones like finishing a major quest earns you a specific break or treat.
Huh. Does that actually work?
Research shows it can significantly boost motivation and completion rates, especially for learning or work tasks. It taps into the brain's natural reward circuitry, making effort feel more engaging and less like a chore. It trains your seeking system to value productivity.
Interesting. And one more psychological hack.
Cognitive reframing. This is all about changing the story you tell yourself about a task.
How so?
Instead of the default thought, ugh, I have to do this awful boring thing, you consciously reframe it. Maybe it's, I get to use my skills here, or this is a chance to practice discipline, or completing this moves me closer to manifesting X.
Finding the opportunity or positive angle in it.
Exactly. And neurologically, this is powerful.
Yeah.
By changing the narrative away from pain or obligation, you reduce that aversive signal from the limbic system, the amygdala. The task feels less threatening, less painful to your ancient brain.
Which reduces the urge to escape into distraction.
Precisely. It makes the path of focused action feel less resistant, more aligned with seeking positive outcomes, more aligned with your intention to manifest.
Wow. Okay, so there are lots of tools here targeting the brain, the environment, our own motivation. It seems like the key is figuring out which tool fits your specific struggle.
Exactly. It's not about mastering everything overnight. It's about understanding you have options, a toolkit based on how your brain actually operates.
So wrapping this up, the big message seems really empowering. The struggle with distraction. It's not your fault. It's not a character flaw.
Not at all. It's an understandable conflict. Ancient biology meets modern world design.
And just understanding that conflict is the first step to fixing it. It gives you the blueprint for the solution. You can become the architect of your own focus.
Absolutely. You are not powerless here.
Because really, your attention, that focused energy you direct, that's maybe your most valuable asset, especially if you're consciously trying to create your reality. And the battle for it, it feels like the challenge of our time.
It truly does. Where your attention goes, your energy flows.
So here's something to think about, a final thought for you listening. If your focused attention is that crucial, that valuable for manifesting what you desire, what's one single deliberate step you can take, maybe right now, right after this video, to protect it, to direct it more intentionally?
Yeah, the goal isn't to implement everything at once. Just pick one thing that resonated. Maybe it's trying that digital declutter idea and deleting just one distracting app right now.
Or setting a timer for one 25-minute Pomodoro session on something you've been putting off.
Or even just taking 60 seconds to consciously reframe a task that feels draining into an opportunity. What's one small step?
Just take that single step. That's the start. That's how you begin to rewire things, build that focus muscle, and really reclaim your most valuable resource, your energy, pointed towards the life you want.
We'd love to hear what single strategy you're going to try first. Let us know down in the comments sometimes. Just stating your intention helps make it real.
Absolutely. And hey, this discussion gave you some clarity on focus and some practical tools. Make sure you hit subscribe so you don't miss our future videos, helping you master your mind and direct your energy effectively. Thanks for tuning in.